Awesome. So excited today because I have the one and only Cathy Savage on here. And this is the woman, if you've listened to my earlier podcast, that has really took me out of my shell because I really didn't know like the type of potential that I had. So I would love for you, Cathy, to introduce yourself, a little bit about what you do, and then we'll kind of get right into it.
Sure. Well, first of all, Angela, I'm so happy to be here. Congratulations on this amazing podcast. It's about time that you did that because I feel the world needs to hear your story and listen to your positive message. My name is Cathy Savage, and I am a professional fitness and media coach. And I had the pleasure of working with Angela when she first started in her fitness journey. And that is the bond that we have. Most of my time has been spent in the competitive fitness world, where I was the first person to create the team concept so many years ago when the first, when the contests and competitions and shows first started. So it's given me such a bird's eye view of how the industry has changed, both in the competitive space and the fitness space. And here I am 35 plus years later, being like a grandma. I'm not really a grandmother, but I feel like a grandma with women like you, Angela, who are just taking your knowledge and expertise and love of the sport and making it something even more unique. So I'm really happy to be here.
Yeah, and I wanted to like start off by saying like Cathy is basically the OG of all the stuff that was happening online. She really is. Like you had Cathy Savage Fitness online fitness training before the pandemic, before I mean probably before Instagram, right? Like I mean before a
Yeah,
lot of the social media stuff was like blowing up to make these things
it
basically.
was the first online program of its kind for fitness and team building and mindset and giving people nutrition and training. It was the very first one. And I love that it's just been able to be that flagship and inspiration for other people to take it and run with and be something impactful for others.
Absolutely. And that's exactly like when I saw this community and I had never been a part of anything. So I'll start kind of from the beginning of when Cathy and I met. I was trying to figure out what to do with my life because I knew that like being a biochemist wasn't really fulfilling everything that I had. And I knew that I wanted to do gymnastics or something. So I was looking into like fitness competitions and I met this woman, Dawn Butterfield. And I remember it was so funny because Dawn Butterfield gave me her phone number at the time. There's like no texting really. And that, well, I don't think she even texted. I think that's what it was. And I'm like, I have to call her. And I was so nervous to do that. I was like, I actually have to pick up a phone and call somebody that I don't know. So I stared at it for a couple of months. And then finally, I gave her the call. She was the sweetest person ever. And then she literally took me to Cathy's office and we sat down. I remember sitting in your office at the mothership we called the Cathy Savage studio. And I remember being me, Dawn, and you, and just being like, oh my God, like I was so nervous. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing or what I really want. And I think what was really cool is that you just had so much faith in me and I don't know why. And I think you like kind of talked about that one day. I was wanted to kind of go back into like what was it when I stepped in your office that you're like, oh no, I have to like help this girl out. And because I was like, she doesn't even know who I am. Like, what if I'm not gonna do anything? What if I'm a slacker? Like, you know what I mean?
Well, you know what? I remember that like it was yesterday. And I wish people could see it from my lens of how many women would walk in those doors and sit in that office for that first time and just understand that that place was a place for belief, support, love, unconditional support. And that's really what it has been and is and was and all of those things. But for you, what made me really excited about you was of course, your gymnastics background, all of those things that are tangible attributes that so many people have. But for you was your tenacity. It was your willingness to be coached by a person you really didn't know at the time, but you were vulnerable enough to say, I'm going into this new sport and I want to work with the best people and the love that we will provide for you and support. And just hearing you speak about your experiences in gymnastics and just kind of learning who you were was really the catalyst for me believing in you and knowing exactly what I needed to do to get you to that championship level. It really was, I'm a professional coach. I look for things for people to say, and you do have to be coachable. And what I love about you, Angela, is you are coming with an extensive background. And I think that's a mistake a lot of people make or have made in our industry, where they feel like they know everything, so they're not coachable. And you were hands down one of the most coachable athletes I've ever coached, because you understood the assignment. You knew that you needed to do A, B, and C, and you trusted the process. And look what happened for you.
Yeah. I mean, so wild. I remember one of the things you said when I was in your office, and nobody had asked me a lot of the questions that Cathy had ever asked me. Cause I don't know, I was coming from that world of like with my parents, like you gotta have your normal 9 to 5 job. And like, they didn't really ask you more about like, kind of like what your dreams and aspirations really were. And I remember you asked me, what are your strengths? That was like one of the things you asked me. And I remember nobody had ever asked me that. And it was almost like kind of scary to be like, sit there and be like, wait, I can like kind of brag about what my strength, like not brag, but like it was like this weird place of like someone asking you, like, what are you good at? Like, what are your strengths?
Right.
What do you do best? And I was like, I never had anybody ask me that question. And I ask my crew members now that question all the time. Like, what are your strengths? What are your
Right.
weaknesses? What are your core values? Things like that, like things that you would never, again, some people never have been asked before in their life.
Right. And you're absolutely right, because I think people need to know what they're working with, and everybody's different. And I think with thousands of people that I've worked with, I treat every person like they're that one person. For you, what also stood out to me right away was your work ethic. And again, I will go on record to say that you are one of the hardest working athletes and now coaches around. Your work ethic, Angela, is exceptional. And I know that you pour that into your clients, your crew. That is still the way it is. When I get online and I watch you and I follow you, I am just so proud of the way that you handle this. You've expected nothing without work. You have put your heart, soul, and energy into what you've built now, getting onto television, magazine covers, every single part of it. I love talking about you because I'm so proud of the hustle. I'm so proud of the fact, and not enough women, quite frankly, will do the work, yet they expect the outcome. You've never been that way. I attribute that a lot to your background in athletics, but I love the way you're kind of continuing that as a leader in your own company,
Yeah, I
because
think
that's the
everybody
type of
expects
person.
something to be handed to them. They expect it to
Right.
be handed to them. They expect that, or when I talk about like magazines, people sometimes they're like, they expect that someone just knows who they are. They're just gonna
Right.
know. Like they don't know who you are. Like they don't know who you
No.
are. These things aren't gonna happen unless you go out there and you put it in front of you. And the times that I've been told no with things, like I've been told no so many times from people, then I was like, all right, well, how can I do this by myself then? Like, how can I do this without them? Like, what can I do to keep moving forward? But you're right. I think that so many people just expect people to be like, oh,
Mhm.
I know who they are, I'm just going to find them and did it. No, you have to prove yourself, and you have to be like, this is why you should have me on your cover, or this is why I should do like this. And yeah, we've seen that so many times with so many different people being like, I don't understand what didn't happen for me. It's like,
Ugh,
really didn't be like, you didn't push, you didn't keep going, and it didn't happen. None of these things happened overnight at all. Like nothing
no,
did.
no. And I remember your journey. Remember that first routine. Like I remember that like it was yesterday. And then you show up, you put the work in, the energy, and God, I loved working with you one-on-one. We put together some of my favorite routines ever, but people need to see the journey. They'll see the finished version of the last show you did and the win and all of those things. But I don't see that. What I do when I sit in the audience and I see you at the top, I remember the first day you walked in, and I remember that first routine and how much you improved along the way, because you knew what to do to just get yourself to that level. And I think when you're looking for someone to work with, you have that innate quality already, which makes you a great coach. And I'm so thrilled that you're doing this, because there are people who are coaches who just don't have that innate quality. It's almost one of these things where you really can't teach it. You either have it or you don't. And I'm talking about just a level of completion and results oriented philosophies for your clients. It isn't just about giving someone a nutrition program. It's seeing it through and vision casting the best for your client. You have that. You did that for yourself as well. And I think those are the things that I remember in your journey, even with the magazines, just relentless putting yourself in front of people. But that's what you have to do. You just don't sit back in the back row and expect people to come to you. You never did that.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I was emailing these people, like I had a little chart on
yeah,
an
I
Excel
remember.
sheet. And every month I would just I'm just following up, just following up. I mean, I sometimes would not hear from these people at all. I don't even know if they were getting the email. I don't even know if it's the right person. I just was like, whatever, I'm just going to keep saying it until maybe somebody, and the one out of those like 100 that I emailed like got back. You know what I mean? It was like such a thing. Yeah. And also talking about the coaching, and I don't know if some of you know me as the Ninja Warrior, but I feel like not a lot of people who right now for some reason know me as fitness competitions are really like my main thing, like flipping around on stage, doing all that stuff. One of the things that I remember was super hard for me was walking in those high heel. I remember when Cathy was like, you got to walk in these high heel shoes that you get from the stripper store. And I was like, wait, what? Like I have to what? Like wear sneakers and never put these on. That was so hard for me because I felt like, everyone would call me the pencil because gymnastics are like, we're very stiff and whatever. And it took so much, just knowing that my coach, like it's not criticizing. It was criticizing in a way where it was like, we want you to be better. We know you can be better. So we're going to keep giving you things. And some people can totally break down from something like that. But I remember like finally feeling confident walking in those heels a couple of years later. And people are always like, fitness competitions are dumb. Like, why do they do that? I'm like, you know what? The amount of confidence that I gained being able to walk in that pair of heels in a bikini in front of so many people, that confidence spewed out into so many different things that I didn't know it would translate into.
Amen. That's why we do it. We don't do it for the $40 trophy. We do it to enhance all other aspects of our life, which has always been my legacy, my goal for all of you. And when I think about that step by step growth for you, it really is a beautiful story, Angela, of you taking something and then going to the next level and then going to the next level. And that is the climb of a successful personality, a successful brand. And that's what you did with all of your time. You just exceeded and didn't rest on your laurels. You just kept pushing to the next level. Well, I've done this. Now I'm going to do this. Now I'm going to do television. Now I'm going to do Ninja. Now I'm going to do Ninja again. Now I'm going to do it again. And it's such a strategy that others can follow because it's almost textbook. It's everything. And I'm not just saying, you know me, I don't say things just to say it. Like when I give you a compliment, it's real. But I wish that everybody could see that in you, that you just are such a hard worker because you respect the craft of building something remarkable that can serve other people, and you could be an inspiration for others. And that really is kind of the heart and soul of what you are right now in the
Yeah,
market.
really showing people from the bottom down. I think that a lot of people have been telling me they like to train with me, work with me in like other ways because of the like authenticity. Like I will tell you how hard it is. I will be there telling you that this didn't again happen overnight, that I had to keep pushing the hardships that I felt with all of it. I mean, it was literally again just such a roller coaster of getting anywhere. And I still, I mean, I'm sure like entrepreneurs always feel like this. I'm still not where exactly I want to be yet, and people might be like, whoa, but like you did this and that. I'm like, no, not that, not yet, not yet. Like
Right.
it's still not exactly where I want it to be type of thing. So like always having that, that faith that you got to keep, going to that next level, what that looks like. Yeah, it's definitely been a very interesting like journey upon that for sure. Another thing I wanted to talk about was, and we do this now with the program. My program is called Strong Feels Good right now. It's all about strength and stuff like that. Cause people get always so hooked into the looks and stuff like that, which I know is a part of like fitness competitions, but I want them to realize that if you just focus on getting stronger and feeling amazing, you're going to look good. Like that's going to come with it or whatever. But one of the things that I always talk about with you is that Sunday session you did every week changed my life. Like you have no idea. It was not just the coaching. It was that Sunday session. It was that support of a bunch of people who got together on Sunday and supported you, and the community. That's like a big thing that I keep like going back to all the time with everything like that. with creating your Sunday session, like, where do you feel like that, like how that helped others? Why did you create that? Did you create that for the same reason, for that community and showing that you that connection with people who are doing the same things as you?
Yeah, that's a great question. Sunday session was such a magical time for all of you. Honestly, what happened was I was training people one on one, one by one by one by one by one. And just being an entrepreneur, I said, I got to scale this. Otherwise, I'm going to be at the gym all day. So I keep doing the same thing with these women. We're practicing, we're doing this, we're doing that. What if I brought them all together? And I started that right after I competed, because when I competed, I didn't like the fact that no one would talk to me backstage and everyone was so individual. And I was like, well, this stinks. I've been doing this for how long? And getting ready and no one wants to talk to me. So not what I am all about. I'm a team player. And so that kind of led me to number one, coaching, but then putting everybody together to work as a unit. And through that, it took away all the weirdness of showing up at a show all by yourself and grouping everybody together so that they got to know one another. And what I loved about it is it just happened so organically that you started connecting with each other and started realizing that this could be something more than just the show. This could be something. And then from a tactical standpoint, getting inspired by someone who perhaps is maybe a step above you and being inspired by her, not intimidated because you know her through the session. And then at the same time, having that quality of seeing people who weren't at the level yet and remembering when you started. And that almost gave you the environment to reach out to them and help them because you were there too. So it was really a beautiful like humanity of all these women, just kind of like a microcosm of humanity. And that sounds crazy because it's fitness competitions, but it was so much more than that. And you saw that. So when you all go to the show and maybe you don't win, but your best friend does, you feel like you're a part of that win. And that's what community is all about. It's not about the individual, it's about everybody. And so that made us all more confident when we showed up at a show. That made us more, we made the process so much more enjoyable because you have these other women cheering you on and clapping for you. I mean, how many times, Angela, in a normal person's life, normal meaning they don't compete, that you have people clapping for you? Now, you are used to that now, from ninja to everything you've done in fitness. The normal woman does not have anybody applauding her. So that was the scenario of women who were just ordinary women doing extraordinary things and having a group of women supporting her, clapping for her, loving all over her, whether it was a good experience or maybe not the one she expected. It was the community that lasted far beyond the show and far beyond the Sunday session. And I think that's what I'm most proud of.
Yeah, I think that's like the thing that in the community was the biggest thing for me, and realizing that there's room for everybody to win. There's room for everyone to grow. And if when you are authentically happy, like when you're like you said, when there was a friend who beat me, I was never like crying in the back about it. I was so happy and grateful for them. And then I would think to myself, okay, what can I do to get to that level? And then they were willing to be like, hey, I actually did this, this, and this. And then you kind of just keep showing up. But I think knowing that everybody around you has the ability to win and you have the ability to win, there's not no one's grabbing or taking anything from you. This thing that you created it's in so many aspects of life that people don't have right now. Sometimes people want to be that lone ranger and they think they are alone, but when you do it with a group, you can grow together. You will grow faster. You'll feel better. You'll actually enjoy the process, which I've been talking about a lot lately. People is how people don't fully enjoy the process between like here to there. They're always just kind of like, I just need to get here. And they don't really care about like the in-between is the longest part of this. You got to like enjoy it and be with great people who are going to lift you up, not just be like, oh, knock all these people down. It's like a totally different way to think about it. And I think that again, it's so much more than fitness competitions. And there's communities like this all over for entrepreneurs. I found it in Ninja, right? I found it in different spots in Austin. We were just talking about Austin. I found it in Austin. There's these communities all over. So I feel like if anyone's listening to this and feeling alone, like you should find that community and that support system. And it really does genuinely, like it genuinely exists.
It does. It does. And people just, even with our group, people couldn't believe it. People would say, let me get this straight. You prepare together, you travel together, but you compete against each other. How can that be? And they just didn't get what the essence was, that people deep down crave community. Every human does. And when you have it, it's tangible. And now more than ever, after the last 2 years, people are really seeing that, my goodness, we all need to be part of something greater and bigger than ourselves.
Absolutely. Yeah. So again, man, I just like, again, I'm thinking back to it. I'm like, it's so cool to think about the journey and the people that I've met who I still keep in contact with today. I still hear from them. They'll still be like, oh, wait, you're one of the Savage sisters, like whatever. Yeah, absolutely. Like you're in town, come on and hang out. Like, I don't even know them, but whatever. I knew that you're a part of this, like, you're a part of this team that is all over. Again, some people you haven't even met, like you haven't never met them, but you just know that they're a part of the team and you're like, oh, they must have the same type of thing. And what's cool, Cathy, is like you created that. Like ultimately there needed to be that one person to step in and show what it was like. And basically, I mean, I never felt like you had any tolerance for anybody who would like try and mess that up. You're like, oh no, like that's not what it is. And you came in and you set the example, you set the standard, and you're like, this is what this is going to be. And I think that also really helped, because having that, right? If you had a leader who came in and was like, oh yeah, everyone sucks, like compete against each other, like then they're all going to have that weird attitude. But you came in, you're like, nope, no tolerance. This is what we're doing.
Yeah, they didn't last long. There were people that would come in and I'm like, yeah, no, you're not going to, it takes one person to mess stuff up. And we were very, very clear about the type of woman we attracted through our branding, through you guys, your look. You guys had a different look. And we always said that the look of a Savage girl, promoters knew it, publishers of magazines knew it. And it was a specific look, but that look wasn't always just how healthy and beautiful you guys were, because you were, but it was that energy that you guys gave off. When we would walk 50 and 100 deep into a show, people knew that we were the ones helping others backstage. We were the ones supporting other people that weren't on our team. That was a standard that it just organically happened because I was blessed to have wonderful people like you. So there's a lot of that too. It wasn't just me, it was our coaching staff. It was a lot of things. And I don't want to take credit for it, but I want to say that it was kind of just how I was raised. It was my education in professional coaching and management. But I would say that it was women like you, Angela, who became leaders for other girls who were just starting. And that to me is the pay it forward. It's women like you who are soaring right now, and so many others who are really kind of stepping into even new genres and really flying high with impacting other people. It's always about that.
It really is. It's really about that. I mean, I've learned that so much from what I'm doing now. Like a lot of this stuff, it's not about me. Like, I mean, yeah, obviously I want these good things to happen for me, but like when I tore my ACL, for example, on Ninja, and I realized that, I was like, oh, poor me, like what the hell, like my leg, all this stuff. And then I realized this is bigger than me, because there's people around me that are watching me. And if I get myself up, they will get themselves up also. So like that, like kind of lifted me up. I'm like, this is actually what it's about. It is not about me. It is not about the cover. It's not about being on the cover. I mean, the cover was great. I was so happy that like that finally happened for me, but that cover that happened for me, like that was when I needed it to happen, because I was super proud of who that person was on that cover. I was like, I'm proud of that person, and this story will help others. If I got the cover, like, before when I wanted it so bad, like what did I have? I just had, I want to be a pretty girl on a cover. Like that's not the impact that you want.
That is so impactful for your listeners to hear, because it happened when it was supposed to. And also what you said about your ACL, I remember that again, like it was yesterday. Someone else may have given up. That gave you more power to make your message heard. And that, again, is a testament to you, of your grit, of your grace, of your vulnerability, all of those things. And honestly, from a business perspective, Angela, that made your story even more impactful than just being an athlete. No, now you're an athlete who had something really crappy happen to her. And instead of just wallowing away, poor me, You said, no, I'm going back in. And there's the story of
Absolutely.
tenacity and resilience. And those are the things not only for you as a solid person, but that's what changes other people's lives. They literally, I'm sure there's people that you have never met, that you have never had any contact with, who are deeply inspired by you just by being that person. And that's the power of influence and position. It's not about being pretty, it's about the people that you have not even met that are so deeply impacted by you, by everything that you do.
I still get messages randomly. Like I got a message literally last week from the article from Shape and was like, just want to let you know, I read your article and I just got out of my surgery and I'm freaking out and da 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 da. And I always get back to them and I'm like, I'm so happy this is helpful for you. Like, just keep going. You're going to get it. And it's like those little messages. And of course, those messages always come at the right time. Don't you feel like that? Right. Because sometimes like
Yes.
business is hard. Like we're talking about this and you're maybe like thinking, oh, this is like, we're talking about the hardships, but you haven't really like felt it. Right. There's days where I'm in my business, even now, even like last week, I'm like, oh, I don't know if I could do this anymore. Like, I just want to give up. This is so hard. And then you get that message and you're like,
Right.
all right. Fine.
Right. It's not supposed to be easy. It really isn't. And I think people are mistaken to think that any type of build or a business or being an entrepreneur, especially in the fitness industry, which is so broad, it is difficult. And especially when you're really good and you're serving your clients in the capacity that you are, it really is, it's challenging at times, but then you have those little nuggets of people who just remind you of why you're doing it.
And
And
that's the game changer. That's like what a lot of times, I feel like they always again come at the right time. I'm a big advocate for like the universe and all that stuff like that. And I'm like, it's
absolutely.
coming to you for that reason. It
Yeah,
knows
and
that you're
you've
feeling.
reached out to me from time to time and you're like, "Oh, like this is hard." And and that is the norm. Anyone who says otherwise, they're lying. They're lying. It's always
Absolutely.
a challenge when you're trying to grow. And I remember vividly texts from you. And do you remember I would say to you, no, no, don't give up. This is what you're supposed to do. And the universe does pay you back when you're a good person and you're providing a good product, a good community, and you're a leader. And eventually the good girls win. There's a lot of noise, there's a lot of chatter, and there's a lot of stuff that people aren't as qualified, or they may not be able to provide value that they say they can. We see that a lot in the coaching world, both business and in fitness. So if you keep doing what you're doing and providing the same quality information and programming that I know you do, because I know you do, it comes around, but you can't quit. You
Yeah.
just got to keep going because you serve others. And that's the key to success when it's
I've
not about,
always noticed too, like right when I was about to give up, like, I say give up, that's like when you're sitting there like, oh, like
yeah,
something like as long as you keep going just a little bit more, you normally something happens. Like I'm like, all right, this is like that point where I want to give up, but like we always hear like, all right, well, just you gotta go a little bit more and then something happens. Like, so it's like you gotta be, no matter what that is, it may be in your fitness journey, like just like with trying to put your health goals, right? That might be with your business, that might be with relationships, like whatever it is, you're like always on the edge. But I feel like definitely you just got to keep going through those hard times. Now, the final question I want to ask you is, what are you currently up to? And, what's your goal? I mean, I know like things have been really changed, especially the past 2 years, because you were very, very much like at events a lot of times speaking, which is absolutely amazing. And so what is like next for you? What is happening now?
well, yeah, I know. It's funny. I get so excited about everybody and what they're doing. And I love being that mentor or old grandma sitting on the park bench, with her rocking chair, giving advice to people. But what I do now is I own a media company that specializes in personal branding for women in health and beauty and wellness. So what I've done is taken everything I've done in the fitness world and packaged it in a professional coaching environment for people who really want to build something online, but they want to build it with integrity and they don't want it to be just this add water and shake, here you go. It's really more professional coaching and teaching people how personal branding is so much more important than just throwing things out on social media and colors and logos and websites. It's so much deeper. Went back to school, Cornell University, got just all my information there through certification in brand management. So I teach a little bit as well,
So cool.
brand management in health and wellness. And so, yeah, that's what I do. And I absolutely am so fulfilled because I take all that leverage and wisdom and kind of give it to the people who really need it most, and for the women who want to do it right. And
I love what you said, do it right. I also love what you just said, that like the logo, like all that stuff like that, it really doesn't matter. I don't know. Like I see so many people all the time just like getting so stuck in like, oh, my logo, my website. Like, no, just
yeah,
help people. Just start putting stuff out there. That stuff, they don't even care. Like
right.
I spent all this money on a really fancy website, I'm telling you. And like most people, like they don't even look at it and they literally go right to, it's just like you talking and then them asking you and they just want the checkout page, which had nothing on it really. It had like two things
Exactly.
on it.
Exactly. I'm more interested in who you are, what you stand for, how you show up, what type of light you give to other people. And I think in comparison to everyone on social, many women, many young aspiring entrepreneurs get really hung up on comparing themselves to other people. And the whole idea is, if you really go through the foundational branding process, you know that there is no competition. You are a category of one, and you bring out your personal gifts to the world because everybody has them. And that whole comparison syndrome goes away. So it's more about that and fine tuning your craft and your message than the darn colors and the logos. And those are all pretty. They're like icing on the cake, but they're not really the plan for people to really have an exceptional business. So that's kind of what I spend my days on. And of course, just loving all over people like you and the good girls who are making an impact in the industry. I just love following you all.
Oh, well, this is so great. I'm so happy we were able to do this because, like I said, when I was talking and starting the podcast and talking about how I first started with it, I really don't know what I would have done if you really did take me out of my shell. Like I always felt like I had more in me, like I always did. But what I was saying on the podcast is like sometimes you need that person who believes in you so much and more than you
Oh,
believe in yourself, that they see it in you. It's the things that you don't see. A lot of times you really need that person or those people in your life, because if I didn't have that, I would have never taken off and done half of this stuff. I would never had this extra belief in me. I really think I probably might have still been doing biochemistry, like, because that's what I was supposed to do type of thing. So I just feel like super grateful that to have you as, that mentor. I mean, you're literally the first mentor I've ever had that really helped push me to, again, see that potential. So I'm just so happy that you were on here today.
well, let me tell you, and thank you for saying such nice things. That means the world to me. But again, in 35 years, you do stand out to me at, at that top of the list of people who really are in it for the right reasons and can help others. And I just absolutely, God, we've had some giggles. We've had some really good giggles, and we've had a lot of fun. And I am thrilled that you're doing the podcast, and I cannot wait to see what you're doing next.
Oh,
I'm
thank you
very
so much.
excited.
Yes, lots of things on my vision board, and you're the
Yeah.
first person that made me do that. That the
Mhm.
first vision board I made had me on a cover of a magazine when we made it. And guess what happened last year? Like so
Uh,
crazy. It didn't happen the next year, right? Whatever. But I started making those vision boards because of you. Again, it was so much more when we were doing stuff. It was so much more than just fitness competition. She was teaching us how to visualize things, how to figure out what we want in our life, and things like that. So it's so cool to go back to those things. And yeah, I make my vision board every year. I'm making mine this year. I made my word. My word this year is alignment. I'm going to be very
ooh,
aligned. Yeah, I feel
good.
like that's a powerful one. Last year was abundance. This year was like alignment. I'm going to be very aligned with the people I'm working with, the things I'm doing, all that stuff like that. But awesome. So happy that and now if people want to like find you, what's the best way for them to kind of find anything that you're doing?
Yeah, CathySavage.com, Cathy with a C. And then on Instagram, I'm Cathy Savage Official. So
Someone has Cathy Savage. You want to just ask
I
them?
don't, I think they might. I don't know, but I don't know. I just like the word official. It's just makes it official.
Makes it so official. It's awesome. Well, again, thank you so much for joining me.
You're
And
welcome.
if you need to reach out to Cathy anytime or me, let me know any questions you have. Make sure that you post it for us. And I'll see you all next time.